Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today on Not a Nail Tech I'm going to be doing a really crazy mix and match set on my own nails. And if you are interested in how I added on these nail extensions, there is a part 1 to this video. So I've started off with some base coat, and then I'm going in with Cabernet and just doing a nice generous layer of this, and I'll be going in with a second coat as well. So I'm actually using our own nail tips today and our nail tip gel adhesive, which I've never actually used to add on nail extensions, but it's super easy. And I'll be honest with you, I've had the nails on for a week and they ain't budging, guys. So in this set, I'm going to be doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We're going to have dice, we're going to have pool or snooker balls, I'm not quite sure, tell me down in the comments which ones it is, and some cherries as well. So now I'm going in with some blooming gel on my pointer finger and my ring finger, and just going back in with Cabernet and dabbing that on. So the aim of this at this point in time is to cover where the join is between my natural nail and the nail tip. So as you can see, I'm just placing that on. It's going to look a little bit like crocodile print, and just let it spread out. Next, I'm just going to go in with top coat over all of the nails, and you can see I've actually added Cabernet to my middle and pinky fingers as well. So yeah, just go in with some top coat, and this is just to add a layer so we can buff them all down, so it's really easy to do all of the rest of our artwork. Now that's cured for 60 seconds, I'm just going to buff that down with one of our buffing blocks, and I'm going to be using a mix of chromes and black line work and 3D elements today. So the nail tip gel adhesive that I used to add on the nail tips will also be used for the nail art as well. And now all of those are buffed down, I'm going to be going in with Serious Black, and I decided I wanted to do a gold French tip. So I'm doing this in chrome. So I'll do a black base for the French tip, and once that's cured, we can buff on the chrome as well. So I decided to do a really high French tip for this one, which as I got further through, I changed my mind on whether I liked it or not, but you'll see at the end how it turns out. Then I'm just filling in the end of the French tip. Next, I'm going back in with Serious Black and a dotted tool, and this is going to be the chain for our dice. So I'm going to make them look a little bit like, you know, furry dice that you'd see hanging in a car window. So again, we're going in with Serious Black during it, and then we're using this chrome pen because the chrome pens are much easier to use for small detail work, and going in and covering the French tip and that chain as well. So you want to make sure you buff this in nicely and that it's well covered, and then you want to buff off all of the excess at the end. And this is exactly why I buffed down the nails in the first place, because it means that the chrome will wipe off really easily. I'm just going to seal those in with some top coat so everything I do next won't affect that if it goes wrong. So I'm just going back over those nails with some matte coat just to make it easier for the artwork to stick to. And then this is the nail tip gel adhesive I've been talking about. So we're just going to take a teeny tiny bit of that. And if it's a little bit sticky, if you use some gel residue remover, it'll help you move it about without it sticking to everything. So you can see here, that's what that wet stuff is. And I'm just using a silicone tool, and this is going to be our dice. So I'm just popping that on and then reshaping it into a cube. And just doing that again. Now I'm happy with that. I've popped that in the lamp. So depending on your lamp and how thick the product is, depends on how long you need to cure it for. I tend to cure it for between 60 and 90 seconds. So as you can see, I've popped some more of that on and it wasn't quite right, so I pulled it back off and reused it again because it's really malleable. And again, just using some gel res and our silicone tool and going back in and just shaping it into a ball. So this is going to be our snooker or pool ball. Yet again, I'm not sure which one it is. And now I'm happy with that. I'm actually doing the cherry. So again, just plopping on a circle of that. And then I'm going back in with the silicone tool and just reshaping it because this one doesn't want to be perfectly circular and you want to put an indent in the top like a little bum. And that's going to be the shape of the cherry. And again, I'm just curing that. So now I'm going in with Snow White and I'm just going to colour in the dice. So I'm just going to do a full layer of Snow White and then when I'm happy with it, pop it in the lamp and then I'm going to do a second layer as well. I've done a second layer of that and cured again, and I'm just going in with Serious Black and a dotting tool just to add in the number of dots on each die. So I'm doing a 5 on one of them and a 1 on the other. And for the snooker or pool ball, I'm going in and just adding a layer of white, and this is just going to be for the centre, so it doesn't need to cover it fully. So just decide whether you want 1 coat or 2. It's quite highly pigmented Snow White, so you might only need 1. Now that's cured, I'm going in with Evergreen and I'm just going to do a circle in the middle, and our number is going to sit in the middle of the circle. So you make sure you make it big enough that you can actually write a number in. And I'm just going to colour in the rest of the ball with Evergreen. Now I'm happy with that. I'm just going in and I'm making the stem of the cherry. Just popping that into the little delve in the cherry and pulling it upwards. And then I'm just going in to do the number. So I'm doing a number 7 because it always has to be a number 7. That's the rule. It has to be a number 7. And I'm just doing a little line across, a little line down, and I'm just going to do a little accent on the end of the number 7 just to jazz it up a little bit. Once that's cured, I'm going back in with Cabernet and I'm just going to colour in the cherry, and it's going to be quite similar to the background colour because it's the same gel polish, so I might end up adding a border around it just to give it a little bit more depth. Now that's cured, I'm going to use some Serious Black and just outline the cherry just so it stands out a little bit from the background. and then cure that for 60 seconds. And for my pointer finger, I decided I wanted a really big star, but like off center, so it looks like it's kind of hanging off the nail. So I'm just placing all of my lines on there and then filling it in. And this is also going to be in that gold chrome as well. So you want to make sure that your gel polish is as smooth as you can get it, because it will show up in the chrome. Now I'm happy with that and cured it for 60 seconds. I'm going back in with the same chrome and I'm just going to buff that into the star. And I decided this needed a little bit of a border as well, so we're just going back in with Serious Black and a fine detail brush and just putting a nice thin border around the whole thing. And I'm popping that in the lamp for 60 seconds. Then I'm going back in with Evergreen just on the little finger. And I'm just going to do 2 very, very small stars in this. And luckily Evergreen is also quite well pigmented, so I should only need 1 coat as well. And sorry for the angle of this, it's really, really awkward trying to do your little pinky finger like this when it's on your own hand. Now that's cured, I'm going back in with some Serious Black, and this is something that I wouldn't normally do, but I really wanted to add some chrome and I couldn't be bothered putting a top coat on and then buffing it all back down. So I'm just going to be really, really careful because I'm using the gold pen rather than the pot of chrome, so it does make it a little bit easier. So I'm literally just buffing it away from the stars so it doesn't stick to the stars. And it worked quite well. So I'm doing exactly the same thing on a couple of the other nails, just adding in some Serious Black, curing it for 60 seconds, and then very, very carefully adding in the chrome pen. Now I'm happy with that. I did decide to go in and add some stripes to the French tip because it just looked a little bit bulky and not as interesting as all of the other nails, and I'm really glad I did because I thought it looked really cool in the end actually. So yeah, again, just using a fine detail brush and going in and trying and making them even and equally spaced as well, with a little bit of a curve. Cure that for 60 seconds and then I'm going to top coat absolutely everything. So obviously you want to get in all of the nooks and crannies, and you want to make sure as well, if you're using chrome, you probably want 2 coats of top coat because chrome is quite delicate and might rub off. So I'm going over all of the nails and make sure this is covered, and you would think this would be the end of this video, but I do have another step just to try. So now that's cured, I'm going to go in with another layer of top coat, but I'm going to pop this on just the top of the dice and that's it. And then I'm not going to cure it because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some clear acrylic powder and I'm going to dust this over the top, and hopefully it'll give a textured matte effect just like you would get on a furry dice. So you want to make sure this is well covered, just keep going for a while because it will start to absorb it, and then when you're happy with the coverage, stick it in the lamp. and we're going to cure it for 60 seconds. And now that's cured, we can go in and get off all of the excess. So there you go. That has given it a little bit more of a textured effect. And that's the finished look. I know these aren't the most practical and they're very, very out there, but I absolutely love them and they've held up really, really well even after a whole week of me scrubbing things and everything else. So if you want any of the products that we've used today, they will be linked somewhere around the video. And we hope to see you next time, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.